Welcome back. It's good to be back again on the show. This is Big Talk, a program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria and what is going on in our polity in Nigeria. Of course, we must make sure that we stay updated to the information that has to do with our political landscape. Nigeria is a great country, and every day a lot of information comes about our politics, about what the politicians are doing, and there are questions about nation building. Are they contributing to the kind of nation we want to have? A nation that is focused on development, on projects, and on building legacy. That is the country we want to have. And there are questions about, are we on the right path? Some persons say yes, but some also argue, and everybody has a point. My name is Ubong Osoro, and I'm saying welcome to Big Talk, a program where we highlight issues concerning Nigeria. Before we get ahead, let's get to see some of the information that we are tracking for you this hour. Those are information that are available and actually on the public space about Nigeria, some political information and some information in general that you may want to know. But let's go for this break, and when we're back, I'll get straight into this information. All right, so today we saw the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, which is entangled in some lawsuit now. Some members of the party are saying that the convention of the PDP is scheduled for the 14th and the 15th of November at Ibadan, or your state capital, should not hold and will not hold. So those members are saying the convention of the PDP will not hold and should not hold. But it seems other members of the PDP that think the convention is going to hold and are actually going ahead to be meeting and doing a lot of meetings as to how this convention is going to be very successful. Today, I covered where we had one of the committee, the Special Duties Committee, headed by the governor of Zamfara State, meeting at the Wadata Plaza as they plan towards a successful hosting of the PDP convention that some section of the party say will be coming up on the 14th and 15th in Ibadan, your state capital. But some persons are already in court saying that particular convention will not hold. But let's bring the report to you now.
With less than a month to the PDP National Convention, members of the Special Duties Subcommittee have been charged to ensure the smooth coordination of all subcommittees. Speaking at the inauguration, the chairman of the subcommittee and governor of Zamfara State, Dauda Lawal, said the committee is responsible for collecting and scrutinizing budgets from other subcommittees, raising and disbursing funds for the convention, and performing other functions assigned by the convention planning committee.
Coordinate, or part of what you're supposed to do is to coordinate the financial activities of all subcommittees. 2, to collect and consolidate all budget from subcommittee chairperson. And 3, to scrutinize and approve this budget, ensuring judicious use of parties' resources. And number 4, to take the lead in raising the necessary funds for the convention.
As the People's Democratic Party counts down to its national convention in Ibadan, expectations remain high that the Special Duties Subcommittee will play a crucial role in ensuring a successful and hitch-free event. Ubong Usoro, Global Television News, Abuja.
All right, so now let's check some trending stories that we're able to bring to you tonight. Let's take the first story for tonight. As story says, Borno governor warns of possible sabotage after Boko Haram drone attack. So governor of Borno State, Babangana Zulum, has expressed shock over the use of drones by Boko Haram terrorists to attack soldiers. And the governor went ahead to say that despite well-circulated this attack against the troops, may have been a sabotage by some persons that are actually involved in this. And that's what we are seeing from Borno State, where the governor says that that particular attack against soldiers may have been a sabotage. And the governor says that despite well-circulated intelligence that the Mafa area of the state would be attacked, troops could not prevent it from happening, saying that there could have been a sabotage. And sadly, that we're having to actually talk about insecurity in Borno State at this time. But that's just a story highlighting, not a discussion for tonight. Let's take another story. Tinubu congratulates Japan's first female Prime Minister, Sane Takichi. President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Sane Takichi on her historic emergence as the first female Prime Minister of Japan, describing her emergence as a milestone achievement that reflects her long-standing contributions to Japanese politics and governance. So our president is saying congratulations to the first female Prime Minister of Japan in the person of Sane Takichi. All right, we'll take another story tonight. A story says, I'll testify in Kanu's trial if subpoenaed. Wike. So today we saw the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, stating that he will appear as a witness in the ongoing trial of detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, if subpoenaed by the court. So Wike is saying, I will appear at the trial of Nnamdi Kanu if I am subpoenaed by the court. All right. Tonight on the show, we want to talk about national politics, fighting misinformation and safeguarding our democracy. Will be joining us Dr. Chibuzo Okereke, who is somebody who's done a lot of work around the legislature, around information and communication, and the publisher of the Legislative Barometer that actually went all ahead to track every lawmaker in Nigeria as to how they were able to contribute to public dialogue, to petitions in the National Assembly. So we're going to be joined by Dr. Chibuzo, who will be helping us make sense of the discussion as we try to understand what it means to actually track the progress that we've made and safeguard our democracy by making sure that misinformation is no longer what we do in Nigeria, that we're able to fight misinformation. All right, so we're trying to see how we can get connected to Dr. Chibuzo, who will be helping us make sense of the discussion. Because when we talk about national politics, misinformation and safeguarding democracy is very essential. I don't know if we have Dr. Chibuzo on the line at the moment. A very good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening.
I like to say, how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing great.
All right, so you published a wonderful document. I was just taking my time to go through the Legislative Barometer, tracking the petitions, tracking all of the contributions done by members of the House of Assembly and those in the Senate. What actually gave you that insight to go into using all of those tools, and the time must have been time consuming to actually track what our lawmakers are doing?
Honestly, it's time consuming, but nothing is too much for citizens to do to safeguard our democracy and provide accountability metrics for citizens to participate in democratic process, and more importantly, to create a platform that will allow lawmakers to be accountable to the people. You see, globally, especially in the United States, you have what they call the Healthy Congress Index. In Kenya here, every year, the parliament publishes activities of lawmakers across the board, and lawmakers in Kenya look forward to that report. Although EGAF Africa has taken it to even a higher level by employing technology with a mix of data, beyond what you saw, which is the infographic report version of the barometer, We have a user-friendly digital interactive dashboard, real-time online, where you can go to navigate any senator of your choice, any House of Representative member of our choice, and you can see his activities across all key legislative instruments. You know, the legislature and legislative studies field is a specialized area that is emerging due to the fact that Nigeria had a long history of military incursion. We have only had the legislature survive consecutively since 1999. All the other time it was truncated at the time, and is the first arm of government to be dissolved every time the military take over the power. So our organization and myself, being a scholar and an expert in the legislative governance field, felt that we must offer Nigeria something unique, something innovative, and I tell you, we have been getting a lot of feedback. And in the next 1 month, we'll be publishing the second session report, and we don't think we're stopping anytime soon. And I think citizens are invited to engage with reports of this nature, and a lot of researchers, people from the academia. In fact, when the day it was unveiled, a lot of development partners from different countries, Canada, and even local NGOs and CSOs, they were out there. And yours truly, your station was also there to cover the unveiling effectively. So our motivation is to safeguard this democracy, make it more robust, to make sure that leadership recruitment process is something that people know to offer service and value. And when you get there, you know there is a body monitoring and playing oversight role on what you are doing, so that you can take your role as a public leader, seriously to offer citizens good governance outcome.
All right, so Doctor, I'd like to ask about the Nigerian information space. How much of information do we have when our people want to make decisions concerning choosing the next lawmaker or even choosing the next governor or president? Because yes, I know during campaigns people talk and they say a few things, but do we really take time to scrutinize based on information, based on data, the tendencies, look at the track record, look at all of the things that these people embody by way of ideology before we vote them into offices? Because most times what I see during campaigns are people go there, they dance, they castigate their opponent, and maybe we have limited information about who this person is and why we are voting the person into office.
Unfortunately, I think I tend to agree with you, and this is why the barometer we are putting forward is very important, because we do not want to be making blind arguments anymore. We want to make arguments that are grounded in facts and data and that are verifiable. You see, the Nigerian political ecosystem is largely dependent on patronage system, controlled by ethnicity, religion, and other intervening variables outside value, information, credibility, or capacity to even do the job. In fact, in the political system of Nigeria, people consider being competent and having capacity as even a disadvantage. People will be telling you, do you think they will allow you with all these beautiful ideas? Which means we are living in a captured state where the worst of us seem to have access to power than the best of us. And this is what we want to use data and information to turn around. In selecting lawmakers, people don't understand that it's different from executive. And that is why we are working hard to provide information about legislative practices and procedure, and people to understand the complex dynamics around how the legislature works. It's not the same with the executive. Anybody by our constitution, can be an operational structure, can be the president, the governor, a local government chairman, anybody at all. And you can gather all the experts in the world to help you to do the things, including represent you to speak on policies and do other things. In the legislature, it is not the same. You don't have a deputy. You don't have, an official assistant. No matter how brilliant your aides are, any research they do, any bill they write, any motion, any petition, whatever legislative argument they do for you, no matter how brilliantly it was done, you have to have that responsibility to stand before the chamber within your colleagues to push that argument forward. And that, now brings a new burden that you must have the knowledge of the workings of the system. You must be a studious person. You must be a research-oriented person. You must be interested in policy dynamics. You must be able to speak out and convince others on how things work. So, but in our system, those are not the factors. Some of the factors include is our turn. Of course, our politics is heavily grounded in so much incentives. The incentives are so much that we have to do zoning so that every area can benefit from the spoils of the office. Because the idea is not what you're going to do, but what you're going to bring, by way of from the budget. So you see, these are the ideologies that control the selection process, for our this. And this is why you have issue with the quality of debate, issues with the quality of bills that are being turned out, issues with quality of deliberativeness of the processes, whether it be ministerial screening, confirmation of INEC chairman, and what have you. So the legislature is a unique area, and therefore people that are going there, we must use facts and figure, we must use the right information. Truly, if we begin to make decisions based on information that is grounded in factual data, even our own personal lives will improve. For instance, you are going out from your house in the morning. You don't know where traffics are, and you have a target to reach a certain place in 30 minutes, in 1 hour. That simple act of going into the Google map to check the route that will be most convenient for you, that information, that data will save you a lot. To say that, this route has traffic of 20 minutes, 15 within this area. If I pass through here, it even give you alternative routes. So this is what information does. We can't live our life without information, because information is a critical and crucial compass that can navigate you and get you to a successful destination if it's applied very well. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Today you spoke at the event you organized with Amiva about information and how, speaking, and you said a lot of things about how we should not just get information, we should, try to get quality and make sure that what we have is actually the right thing. I like that you just share some of the things you said on the show tonight as the world celebrates the international.
The EGAF Africa Legislative Governance Innovation and Policy Hub, we collaborated with MIVA Open University to commemorate the United Nations World Development Information Day 2025. And the theme was on information for development, bridging the knowledge and action. And we anchored it on also how we are doing with the SDGs. And when we reviewed the World Development Report 2025, for the first time in the history of the WDR, they dedicated the ECA's report on highlighting the issues of standards and importance of standard.
Yeah.
So standard very important, and he also categorized the global south and north in terms of how we play in the domain of standard. And they noted in that report that developing countries, mostly in Africa and other parts of the world, are still in the stage of absence of standard or standards adoptions to adaptation. In other words, either they don't have standard at all for most critical things, or they just adopted absolutely standards that are from the Western world, or they adapted it but with a few changes. But even in the area of adoption and adaptation, we discovered that most African countries, particularly Nigeria, face the challenge of compliance and enforcement. And this is some of the things we highlighted today, that even governance requires standard. What is the standard for delivering the best governance? Standard for delivering the best electoral system and electoral outcome. Standard for manufacturing. Standard for environmental sustainability. Standard on quality of education. We talked about the issue of SDG goals 1 to 17. In Nigeria, in terms of SDG 1 on zero hunger, we still have malnutrition and hunger affecting people in parts of the north. And then those statistics and data for them, you'll be shocked. We are only getting it from Western global organization. Locally, it's difficult, to get some of those data. So we have to develop resourcefulness and capacity, empower the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics more to be able to get actual and factual data. And those data, government institutions must be compared to make decisions on them. We talk about education on SDG, and we talk about the targets of the SDGs. And the fact that in education, it's not only building of classrooms. Every time you hear them, building of 3 classroom blocks, 8 classrooms, you don't get to hear anything about training of teachers, equipping of teachers. If you have 100 billion votes for education, you will discover that 99% of it was on
building of classroom,
and furniture. Nobody is building the capacity or incentivizing the teachers or other aspects of education that can bring a balance. If you go to health, you will hear more about medical outreach. You don't hear about equipping the health centers, supporting the doctors, giving them incentive to stay in rural areas and others. So we have a huge challenge, we believe, setting accurate standards and using those standards, making the information about those standards available to the public. Because what you don't know, you cannot deliver on. Information is at the center of the first priority for knowledge. It is when you know, you can now learn and act on what you know. So we still have a huge gap in people even knowing what to do, how to do what to do, when to do what to do, and then applying that knowledge in making policy, in monitoring policy, in reviewing policy, and achieving results. And I think the outcome was very, very successful. People went home with that knowledge that they need to have information, they need to work data to make their decision. And government institution, there was call to action on what government, communities, and individuals should do to enhance their quality of information, quality of decision making, and the fact that Nigeria must strive beyond adoption and adaptation to the category of authoring, playing at the global stage where standards are set, so that nobody will set a standard that favors them and make you a dumping place. No, you should be at the table and then ensure that the standards respond to your own cultural and lived realities of the socio-economic structures of your own country.
Right. So, Doctor, as a researcher who is a professional in understanding the matrices, the tools that should be used to evaluate our legislature, let's talk about misinformation generally in Nigeria at this time. Because with the coming of the artificial intelligence, I even saw a video the other day of the president, and people made fun of it, changed the president, made him to start dancing when he wasn't dancing. So people could do a lot with AI with the information that we have, and that could actually affect our politics. I like that you walk us through how misinformation can affect us nationally and even at the subnational levels, and what we can do. Maybe that's the next leg of the question, how we can actually tackle this menace of misinformation, especially as we move towards the campaigns will be starting next year for 2027, and a lot of people will want to go into misinformation as a way of having an edge over their opponents.
I think you are very correct, and you see, that is why we talk about standard. Nigeria state functions in what we call happenstance. They wait for things to happen, affect them, even in the most critical way before they wake up and start doing something about it. We are talking about the president dancing. Just a few months ago, a brand new flyover commissioned in Kefi here, Nasarawa, AI was used to show that it has collapsed completely. And then there was nothing like that. I tell people when I go into the programs that very soon AI is going to hold Federal Executive Council meeting and approve contract and award contract with the president sitting there and resolutions passed, and you will see it online. And no Federal Executive Council meeting took place, or alternative one using AI. Very soon you are going to see National Assembly, AI created National Assembly, holding sessions, and then because, you see, the application of technology, it is something that Nigeria has not woken up to the reality of what AI has power to do. We are still dealing with talk shops. We have not even come up with, relevant laws to domesticate how AI will be applicable there. Because our political leaders and institutions are still very weak in that respect. I mentioned the issue of crypto during my presentation today. Right. We are still struggling with legislation on digital currency, digital assets, and crypto. Meanwhile, a few other African countries are doing it. So, misinformation is going to be at the heart of the 2027 election. You are going to even see politicians look for those that can hire from outside the country to come and help create things using AI. So we have to enhance our capacity to fast check and respond. We mustn't take it for granted because we have a lot of fault lines in Nigeria, something like religion. You may even see AI video of where a southern candidate maybe desecrated the mosque and it never happened. And before you can get back to let some of the people who are in that area of faith know that this thing didn't happen, especially when most Nigerians are not even digitally compliant. It's just happening within a demographic. It has already caused a lot of problems. So we have to do more. First, raise our dike in terms of how we provide official information. The official information platforms must go into the social media platform. Anywhere the people are, you must be there. You can see that happening in the US and other places. You have to make sure government have verified account on social media. We have to also charge our public institutions to start thinking, because this thing has political economy. We cannot depend on social media from other parts of the world. We have to also be looking at within the social media economy, what percentage can we catch? Because anytime you plot the graph, Nigerians always go up in the chart as being most active. And that also means a lot of data, a lot of money and profit has been made for those, organizations. So official communication channels have to enhance their capacity. There has to be more awareness about the presence of misinformation. Somebody showed me a video of where one of the political leaders were in the hospital, and he believed it. I said, can you just check again? Check, because this blog is not a verified this thing. And whenever they want to push out that, they use unverified sources, WhatsApp group, some blogs online and others. So we have a huge responsibility to, educate and create awareness. Have programs that run on local dialect, on social media, through our local communities. Have foot soldiers, who counter misinformation, to be able to work with community organized groups. Let them know such a thing exists. Because first is awareness that somebody can give wrong information. Before you get to it, it has already started causing killings maybe in a community or what have you. So we have a lot to do. We cannot sit back and just be saying, oh, AI is the future. AI is the future. What technological infrastructure are you putting on ground to ensure that AI does not undo you in terms of information and misinformation and other issues? So I think that is very, very important for Nigeria to do. And then the media, the traditional media too, have to, because anything you report, you are liable, right? And people need to depend on traditional media more, and they have to also up their game, because we're on fast lane right now with information and technology, and that needs to happen. So I think ahead of the 2027 election, we expect INEC in their regulation to now capture some of these issues. It's a big issue in the United States.
Right.
How people use algorithm to target voters and another. It's a big issue. In Nigeria, there was an issue that came up in one of the investigations.
Hello, Dr. Okereke. Yeah, Doctor, can you hear me now? All right. So, yeah, can you hear me, Dr. Okereke?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think we lost you for a moment, but don't go nowhere. Just stay with us. Let's go for this break, and when we're back, we'll have you as we keep talking about national development, how we can counter misinformation in Nigeria and safeguard our democracy. Thank you so much. We'll be right back after this break. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk on Global Television, a program where we highlight political issues concerning Nigeria. Tonight on the show, we are talking to Dr. Chibuzo Okereke. He is the Executive Director of EFGA, an organization that looks at the parliamentary and politics generally, democracy, and bring facts, bring updates as to help us make better decisions. But let's talk about democracy now, because this discussion was two legs, fighting misinformation and also safeguarding our democracy. In your own experience as a researcher, and you've done comparative analysis and you've looked at Nigeria's democracy and other democracies around the world, what would you say? What are your first thoughts about our democracy? Are we doing well? Would you say that Nigeria is on the right track? Because we hear a lot that we are making progress. The government sell the hope, renewed hope, and all of that. Are we on the right track? And when you look at our democracy vis-a-vis other developing countries, today you talked about the fact that they told us we are no longer underdeveloped country, just to make us feel better, and they told us we are developing country. So when you look at this developing country vis-a-vis other countries in the world, do you think Nigeria is on the right path to success?
Well, these are too many questions in one basket, but I will attempt to provide a response. First, are we on the right path to success? We have to ask in what dimension and in what aspect. If we decide to focus on democracy, one of the key ingredients of democracy is fundamental rights and respect for rule of law, right? Equality before the law, and also social justice. The legitimacy of elections, integrity of elections, popular participation in electoral process, political party management, and all that. Governance outcomes, freedom of speech, and respect for human dignity. In all these fronts, we are having one issue or the other. But there is also what we call the slide and the strife of democracy in Nigeria. That yes, outside the fact that we had suffered military incursions to 1999, that we've been able to marginally sustain transfer of power from one civilian government to another since 1999 to date without interruption. And that even in 2015, we had the opportunity of an incumbent to be defeated and power was transferred without interruption. And that you can call some of the strides of this democracy. But one key factor that has become an issue is voter confidence, public trust in institutions. You see, if we want to know whether our democracy is on the right trajectory, it is how much does the vote of the people count? How much does Nigerian voters determine the outcome of leadership recruitment? Are Nigerian voters even involved in choosing leaders?
Right.
The answer many people will give you is no. Voter turnout is at the lowest today. We are not even sure of our voters register because at least, if nothing else is wrong with it, is the fact that we have no means of removing those who have transitioned to glory, those who have passed out of this earth. We have no means of removing their names because we lack the data to do so. We don't have the census. We don't have the integrated data to show us, to bring in births into the data and deaths into the data. So at the touch of a button, you can see those. You don't have a means of even tracking those who have voted and those who didn't vote. We don't have exit polls to know We only say, oh, young people turn out to register. We can't say if young people turn out to vote. We can't say if women, if young girls, if this. So all those data, we lack it in our electoral process. And then we don't have confidence in the electoral institution, the umpire. So these are, and then our politicians too have not helped us significantly in improving the quality of our democracy. You see, the political parties also have become a captured industry with the money bag. We no longer have political party membership where members pay their dues, own their party. Internal party democracy has gone to the oblivion. People are in the party, but they don't have stake in the party. And therefore, the political parties have been hijacked away from the Nigerian. And that's why you see it appears that the parties are different from the Nigerian people and different from the government. And that is what is happening with our democracy, and that is not right. The Constitution has already made it compulsory for anybody that will come to elective position to come to a political party. And this elective position is for the service of the Nigerian people at any level, even at the councillor level. So people cannot form a club, hijack that club that's supposed to be a public service vehicle against the public and expect to have a better outcome.
Right.
I've described as having democracy without democrats. And the fact that the philosophy of politics in Nigeria is what is wrong with the democracy. The institution of democracy itself, the judiciary is there. But look at the embarrassment. We are more endangered in our democratic institution than ever before. In the past, when there is a court judgment, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in it or not, you say, the court has spoken. It has even become clearer to Nigerians today that they can't even rely on the court. The Supreme Court, for instance, will give a judgment, and then we don't know the meaning of that judgment. There is nobody to obey that. You have in the PDP, there was a decision of the court. You don't believe in it, you don't order, but the Attorney General cannot say that this should not be enforced. He did not enforce it. The people were left at akimbo.
Right. Right. So in generally, your assessment, you say, where are we going? Are you, because you mentioned the fact that yes, that there's been no incursion since 1999, so that means we've actually made progress. But moving towards 2027 with. Yeah, moving towards 2027 now, looking at how the political culture of Nigeria is, it seems there will be a lot of challenge to the current presidency. And do you think having all of these political parties, some people have even argued that yes, we have 19 political parties now and a lot waiting to be registered, that maybe we need to reduce the number of political parties. Do you buy that idea? And maybe just have a few, all of the other political parties collapse their structures so we could have a more vibrant opposition?
Well, that will not guarantee anything. There's no place where, even in the United States, it's not only two parties that you have. It's just that two are the dominant party. Even in China, there is a communist state. It's not only one party, the other party. So those are not the issues. The issues are quality of human beings, of Democrats, ready to practice democracy, ready to sacrifice their stomach infrastructure for a greater cause, who have prepared for leadership and understand patriotism, national development, and the need for legacy of empathy. This earth is a transitional place. What legacy do you want to leave behind? So if the philosophy of leadership you have is transactional, That is what you are going to bequeath if you find yourself in the system. If it is transformational, that is what is the greatest aspiration of Nigeria. What does Nigeria want to become? Is it to feed the citizens, to educate the citizens, to have a
Doctor, I'm sorry to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you, but I like you answer that question, because a lot of our viewers will be interested. What does Nigeria want to become? I like you answer the question.
Well, these are questions we have to ask people when they are running for office. Don't say he's my brother. He's from. Cannot continue to do tribe till thy kingdom come. We should find a way to, you see, when you travel out of this country, many African countries for Africa to survive. Today, Africa is feeding and supplying raw materials, improving the economy in terms of human capital and natural resources, and in other ways, in trade and investment of many European countries. And Africa is suffering without light, without food for the citizens, without hope. A lot of people are migrating. So our responsibility as Nigeria is to come together and be active citizens. The idea that politics belong to some people is something we must discountenance. Everybody should know that politics controls the instrument of state. And as long as you're in this country called Nigeria, or anywhere you may be, politics affect you. If you like, believing in the US, you have a family here. If the politics is not good, it will strain your resources from US. So become interested in politics, invest in politics. It's not cheap. Invest in right candidates. Contribute money to support the process. Volunteer your idea, your expertise, your research. There is a research work I did. We are bringing out bill now based on that research. We will do advocacy for it and see what it can bring. We have done other advocacy in the past and campaign, you know. So this is what we have to do to bring aspiration for Nigeria.
All right. So yeah.
A strategic aspiration of a destination that is anchored on sustainable.
Right.
Haphazard.
Right. So also as we close, we're gradually running out of time, Doctor. But as we close the conversation, all of the indices that you've pointed out tonight looks very bleak that maybe Nigeria may not have hope. Just final words on the program tonight. Is there hope for Nigeria? Because a lot of the things you say, people could look at it and say, where are we going? But is there hope for Nigeria on a more positive note?
Yes, there is hope. The hope is based on active citizenship. And that active citizenship starts with our involvement with politics and governance. If you look at you now, for example, on election day, you will be fighting more on what news to bring and air than to cast your vote. And these are why we are saying they should be early voting with integrity, so that all the people on essential duty will be able to vote. And if you're working in the bank or any sector, because they pay you money, you live in a house, you drive a car, you think you are okay. On election day, you cross your leg on your television and you are waiting for outcome. You say it doesn't concern you. Do you know you could live better if government performs better? Some of the things you're praying about, you won't bother about them because these are public responsibilities and it has been done fairly and squarely. Let me tell you, one of the greatest things Nigeria must achieve is equitable and competitive environment. We must work for a nation where people can apply for jobs and get it without knowing anybody. That is what will restore hope. And this our current president. I want his legacy to be not just bridges and coastal road, but a legacy of restoration of hope for Nigeria to Nigerian people. If that happens, he would have achieved so much.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program, Dr. Chibuzo Okereke, Executive Director of EFGA Africa. We really do appreciate your time on the program. Thank you so much. And we hope to have you live in the studio one of these days. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, sir.
All right, and that's the size of our show for tonight. Tonight we talked with somebody who helped us understand what misinformation is doing to the country and how we can safeguard our democracy. My name is Ubong Usor in Abuja, and I'm saying bye for now.